All right, so I know I promised Q&A. We have 15 minutes before we have to wrap up the program, so I'm going to just open it overall. We have a few of our what did I call them? Zamexers that are still in the audience. So if you have some questions, I'll run around with the mic just so that you can ask those, and then we'll be wrapping up at 2:45. So mic time.
And
he has the wipes.
just please mention who you want the question to go to and your name, and we'll try to get the mic.
Thank you. My name is Nikita Topandera. I'm here as a guest of Dr. Frida and Bella's, also an honorary Zambian. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. My question is directed to Ms. Fiscani and to Ms. Constance. You both mentioned finding your niche, and also, Fiscani, you mentioned what I kind of summarized as how you stumble upon what it is, that you may become passionate about. So specifically, how do you decide what you should prioritize? How do you decide what to pursue? Everything that comes about, maybe if it's, Fiscani, when you mention the music videos from the 90s, in that moment when you realized you had an affinity for fashion, right, at what point did you decide this is what I've got to put everything into? Constance, at what point did you decide dentistry is the niche that I should be focused on? Thank you.
Well, for me, I realized early on that you don't have to be good at everything. You just need to be good at one thing. So you find people are entrepreneurs and they have multiple things. Like I have 52 businesses, so many things, but you only have to be good at one thing. And when you're great at that thing, it's very easy and it's very natural, So like he spoke about real estate. He spoke about it very naturally and very easy. What would have been, I would be a fish out of water in that world. I would not be so brilliant, in trying to sell that. I could sell this jacket a little better, So I would, you just have to find your one thing and be good at that one thing. And that one thing is your one thing. So you don't go, I can't go start doing what he does, because I don't think I'm going to be great at that, even though his story is amazing, but it's his story. So I think we all have that one thing, whatever it might be. Even the mailman, he has that one thing, and we need him. I need my mail today. So his purpose is to bring that mail to this zip code. And I need you, rain, sleet, or snow, please. I really need you. So in finding your purpose, everything just falls into place. And people find you, and they go with your vibe. I go with the vibe, and people will find you. Like, I like your vibe. I'll help you or push you forward or whatever the case is. So I think does that answer your question? Thank you. All right.
There's a business strategy, I think it's called the Blue Ocean strategy. And the concept of that, honey, sit down. Thank you. The concept of the Blue Ocean strategy is to find where to swim where the competition is not swimming. If anybody's familiar with healthcare staffing, there are hundreds of nurse staffing companies, thousands maybe. Now, I am a startup with a limited budget. I am not going to go for the billion-dollar empire to start with. I'm going to find something within the blue ocean where nobody else is swimming that I can dominate. Right? And so for me, it was a narrowing down, like, okay, not nursing, not physician, not this, not that, dentist. 2% unemployment rate. I have 20 major competitors. I can take them down. That's what we're going for. Right? So it was thoughtful. And that book, The One Thing, is an excellent book. So it's a great book to read to sort of narrow it down as well.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mukuka. My question is to Dr. Luca Poanga. Your presentation kind of implied that the brain power is out here in the diaspora. How do you arrive at that, as opposed to the brain power that's at home?
Well, first of all, I was not trying to make it look like we don't have brain power at home. We do. But what I was trying to encourage was the fact that the linkage between Zambia and the diaspora is pretty, at best, is fragmentary. And we have to repair that. We have to build that bridge. Because if we work together, the Zambians abroad and the local Zambians, then we are going to achieve more. And that's why I gave the example at the very beginning of Taiwan, because that's pretty much what they did.
Brain pool. Our president has a question.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bella Siangonya, and as Ms. Chita said, I'm the president for the Association of Zambians in Atlanta. My question is for Mr. Yu. I noticed in the examples that you gave, they are predominantly white men that you presented. And from what I heard today from Mr. Thomas and even Constance, is like, as a business person, you have to find that niche. So within the Silicon Valley, I'm just curious, like, how do minorities thrive or get their ideas out in the, I guess, the venture capitalist environment, or just thrive as a minority, just given that it seems like a lot of money for startups is going to white-owned enterprises. So how do we, as the African diaspora, or even as a minority, overcome that perceived barrier that I saw from the presentation that you gave today? Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Wellifer. I think that's a great question. One I can talk at length about, so I'm trying to think about how to give a brief response, because diversity and inclusion is also something that I've focused on in my career. The good thing about tech, I think compared to other industries, is as close to meritocracy as you can get, because you're building things, and a lot of times what you build speaks for you. But having said that, clearly being a minority, being different than what people perceive as what should be the standard of what brings success does present challenges. In fact, I have talked about how there's this inconvenient truth that if you ask the average layperson to name a successful entrepreneur, they probably will name a white male person. But the good news is that's changing. We're seeing more female entrepreneurs who are becoming successful, and we're seeing black entrepreneurs who are becoming successful. Some of you here probably use the app, the Calendly, which was actually developed by a Nigerian American, and that's a unicorn. So that's starting to change the narrative, where we're now starting to see more people of color, again, more females who are now leading these very successful ventures. The other thing that's also happened that's a positive trend that's happened recently, we're seeing even in the, amongst the venture capital crowd, you're seeing more people of color, many VC firms that are led by black people. So in that perspective, I'd say the future is really bright, that we are, and I encourage people that, you know, the tech is a great place if you have that passion, if you have that strength to be an entrepreneur. There's actually a lot of money out there for people who can convince people that, hey, this is a great idea that I have. So you know, I guess that's my summary. It's a good place to be. The challenges remain, but it's getting better.
Hello, my name is Mlanga Chanka. My question is to the education panel. I think I have Julia and mostly Dr. Suwala. I'm not sure if he's still here. Perfect. So when you were talking, you mentioned about presenting to the Zambians that there is a possibility of them coming here for education, and you said that there was not much response. Have you ever considered why there's not much response from the Zambians versus to the other countries? Because I've reached out to some of my friends, because I have one of my friends who's a professor, and kind of like gave that opportunity. But one thing I realized with most of Zambians, they don't have much information about that. They can come for education here without the sponsorship that is required, but they can get the free education here. Have you ever tried to present to them, explaining to them that this is a way of you guys coming here without having a sponsorship? Because a lot of people, they look at that application, they're looking about 80, 40,000, and they don't have it. But most of them are very smart, but they can't afford for 40, 50,000 per semester or per year. But if you kind of like went to these people and explained the process that they're able to come in this, because I know there's loopholes of coming to this country in education with free scholarships, with probably just paying the application fee. That's pretty much about it. But have you guys tried to look into that situation and explain to the Zambians? And my second thing is, why not going into just focusing into colleges and universities? Why not going into high schools when these kids are in like 11th grade and presenting to them that if they scored so much high, there's a possibility of them coming to colleges, universities in America. Is it possible you guys can do that as from the education panels?
I'll just answer that question briefly. The last time I actually approached the dean of medicine at UNZA, and also the dean of the pharmacy school there. I took upon myself, went to their offices, got appointments, basically spoke to them, gave them the details. And these are all details that were printed out. Basically, the dean of Mercer College of Pharmacy at that time, and my supervisor basically said, "Look, all we need for them. This is when you're doing a PhD, for example. I did it in pharmaceutics and industrial pharmacy. You're basically given $100,000 scholarship, basically because a year, and this is basically because you'll be working as a TA as well, which is basically on the job training, because you'll be doing everything that both training to be an industrial pharmacist, industrial pharmaceutical scientist, and also training to mentor and teach. So I gave all that information and waited patiently for about a year, communicated, nothing happened, went back the following year, and this continued for about 2 years. This was between 2009 and 2014, at which point really it became, we reached the point where I was unable to basically give any feedback to the people who were asking, and these were the chairs and the deans at Mercer. Whereas on the other hand, all my colleagues from my same class who were from either Nigeria or Ghana had a pipeline established from their own universities, pharmacy schools, and even if you go to Mercer right now, you'll have at least four graduate students there. Free, they don't pay a single thing. Basically, all they have is, all they need to do is just come here and basically get the education that they need. And in some cases, they stay on because basically the pharmacy companies are hiring, pharmaceutical companies are hiring at a great rate right now. And for those who decide to go back, the opportunities are open to them as well. So the issue was really apathy, if I can say it. It was just apathy.